You are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church. The words of Jesus to Peter today has got two important implications for the apostolic succession in the church. One is it talks about the primacy of the Pope, the first among equals. The Bishop of Rome will be the one to be a successor of St. Peter. The second one is the infallibility. The Pope can teach on faith and morals without error. Although this was made a canon in Vatican I, 1869 and 1870, so far only one dogma has come out, the Assumption in 1950. So today when we have this reading, it is also a time for us to look at leadership in general, the secular leadership, religious leadership. What kind of leaders are we having in the world today? I think the biggest quack we have is when we always talk about servant leadership. You know and I know it is only for lip service. That word most of the time is not lived. We just use it because it sounds nice, but it is not nice to live. There was once a conference or a boot camp held for all the leaders. So many leaders came. So different activities were held. And on the last day, it was a very strenuous physical activity. So they were all taken to a very tall building, which was about 80-story high. And they told them they had to run up without taking the lift. So they went up. And lo and behold, they only prepared the prize for only one person, because every year they have only one winner. And this year somehow there were two winners. Both of them completed it in the same time. So this made them having a big headache. So how to determine the winner when both of them completed at the same time? And finally they went and asked one old wise leader there what to do. And he said, never mind, we give them an extra game. I will animate this game. And they took these two and they brought them to a separate room where there were two tables. And on the tables were muffins. On one table there were 20 muffins. On the other table there were 10 muffins. So the wise man said to the two of them, okay, your duty, or what you are supposed to do is, whoever finishes the muffin first, you are the leader champ for this year. And both of them started to grumble. What is this? One table got 20, one table got 10. Sure, the 10 will win. And they were grumbling, and the master said, you choose which one you want. And both don't want to choose. Then finally they had to toss the coin. So the head went to the 20 muffins and the 10 went to the tail. Went to the 10 muffins. And then both of them, when they were starting, the one with the 10 was very happy. The one with the 20 muffins very angry. He said, what kind of a competition is this? Then they asked them to eat the muffin. So both started eating, and the man with the 20 muffins was very angry. And eventually he lost. And the man with the 10 muffins won. So finally when they gave him the award, the one with the 20 muffins complained. He said, this is very unfair. How can you give him 10 and you give me 20 and you declare him winner? And the wise man called him here and said, come, I give you a sample of the muffin which was put in the 10 muffin tray. And the man tasted it and he said, oh, this is difficult to eat. It is very rich. It's difficult to swallow. Although both looks the same, but the one on the 10 muffin tray was more difficult. And then only the wise man answered, you lost the competition as a leader because you only saw the quantity. You saw the quantity, you became afraid, therefore mentally you already lost. Actually both the content was the same, only the quantity was different. And I think this is how sometimes we also relate in life. As leaders, sometimes we are project based, success based. The more we win, the more people we gather, that seems to be the result-oriented approach we use today. And sadly, even in the church also sometimes, we are very often become slaves of reports. As long as report is good, very nice, everybody is happy. But then we have to ask ourselves, is this the right way of leadership today? Is report alone enough without knowing the actual reality? The best leaders in the world have always proved to us that you must touch ground. You must know what is going on among the commoners, among the simple people. That is where Christ is supposed to be served today. And in the first reading today, when we have the reading of the removal of Shebna. Shebna was like the prime minister, very powerful post, very powerful post, and today he is removed because he was not a good leader. He didn't do what he is supposed to do, and therefore today prophet Isaiah says that he is removed and he is replaced by Eliakim. Eliakim is going to replace him, and what are the things they give him? First thing, they give him a rope, they give him a sash, they give him authority, finally they gave him the key. And this key, they say, if he locks, nobody can open. If he opens, nobody can close it. That's how powerful the position given to Eliakim today. Sometimes many youths today, when you're 21, you will get a key, gold key, small key. But where is the lock? Who hide the lock? Where are you going to find the lock to unlock? And without that lock, the key is of no use. So what does that key symbolize? Today in the first ring, the key symbolizes authority. The key symbolizes responsibility. We sometimes, even in the political circles today, we are captivated by people who look good, who talk good, but although their life, the models they do, the things they do are all wrong or evil, we are not interested. We only like the good look, we like the good words. That's all. That is how low sometimes people can go today. And politicians sometimes use this to their own benefit. They know certain issues will touch the heart of the people. They just touch the heart and then they do whatever the head tells them. Shebna was doing that and he got kicked out. Anybody who does that will be kicked out. If not here, later on they'll be kicked out from heaven. It will come. It's a matter of sooner or later. And why does God delay? Paul in the second reading today, in the letter to the Romans, is telling, who can know the mind of God? It is very mysterious. We can never understand God. We can never know Him. But only thing is, God is watching. Whatever we do, whatever we don't do, however we live or don't live, God is watching. And in His own way, in His own time, He will make a move. And many people get caught when God makes a move. Today, we are getting more and more complacent because we think God doesn't make a move. He will not do anything. But God does make a move. When He makes a move, we won't be ready. That is the problem. God is delaying His move because humanity is not ready to meet Him. The first reading and the second reading today is actually reminding us, especially for those of us who are in authority, do we really take this authority as a gift from God, using it to build others, not our own name and fame and glory, but able to realize that God has given us a little bit of time, a little bit of power to do a lot of good. If we realize this, then our leadership will always be one of service. And in the gospel today, we find this important text in Caesarea Philippi. Caesarea Philippi is north of Israel. I have been to this place. There is a temple called the Temple of Pan, pagan god. And very interesting, this Pan god, which they worship, is the reject of all the pagan gods. So nobody wanted this god. So he will go outside and at the foot of the mountains, he will build a temple, the god of Pan. So Jesus is going to a place where they have a rejected God to go and ask about His identity because He also is going to be rejected by the people. Very interesting. Most of the time we don't understand why is Caesarea Philippi. That is why it is important. It is a place where rejected God is kept by the pagans. Very interesting place. That is where Jesus is asking him, who do people say I am? And they will say, some says John the Baptist, Elijah, Jeremiah, one of the prophets. All the peoples they mention were all dead. Only Simon Peter will give the answer, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. Only he mentions the living God. So today, before we can even understand this text, there are certain terms we must understand. First thing, Simon means hearing or listening. Peter means rock, but Peter is in Greek, not Hebrew. Most likely Jesus would have called Peter Cephas, which is rock in Hebrew. There's a play of words. Some of the terms they are using are Greek terms. Jesus most likely would have used the word Cephas, which makes sense because the high priest who will persecute Jesus at the trial of Jesus, his name is Caiaphas. So Cephas is the new priesthood which is going to come. Caiaphas is the representative of the old priesthood from the ancestors of Aaron. So when we see the trial of Jesus, Caiaphas will ask Jesus, I put you on oath, are you the Son of God? And when Jesus says yes, he will tear his garment. That is the end of the old priesthood. Then Peter comes up as the new priesthood. That is one of the reasons why there is a separation. We do not continue from the priesthood of Aaron, although it was blessed. We continue from the priesthood of Christ. Peter begins to take the center stage. He becomes an important person. And the question Jesus asks him is the question he asks us today. Who do you say I am? Based on your own experiences, based on your own ups and downs in lives, who do we say Jesus is? Because unless we have a right answer, then we will always have a wrong understanding of our faith. Many a times we will say Jesus is Lord only from the lips, but it is not coming from the heart. What is the difference? When it comes from the heart, our lives will change. When it comes from the heart, somehow the life of Jesus will continue to grow in our lives. And today when Jesus tells Peter, you are the rock, on this I will build the church, we have to really ask ourselves, what kind of rock are we giving to the youths of today? If we see that they are the hope of tomorrow, the hope and the church of tomorrow, what kind of a rock are we giving it to them? What are they building their faith upon? We might be giving them everything that is available in the world, but if we have not given them the rock, who is Christ himself, then we have not done our part. And today when we also see Pope Francis as the successor of Peter himself, continuing the authority, the responsibility Christ has given to him, if I were to ask you, what will you remember Pope Francis for? There are many things, but importantly, 4 important things will come out. One is, he sees the church, the image he has of the church is a field hospital. Field hospital where people are coming after battle. They are wounded, they are depressed, they nearly need help, and the church has to reach out to them. The second thing he always emphasized was, when we go to these people who are wounded, we use the mercy of God. The medicine is always mercy. Many people misunderstood his teaching. He is not trying to dilute life of faith. He is only reminding us that the mercy of God is greater than all the sins we can do. So the first one he talks about is the field hospital. We must remember, we are a field hospital, not a specialist center. We are supposed to receive anybody who comes to us wounded or injured. That is the first duty the church will have. The second one is we must use the balm of mercy, not misuse it, use it correctly. The third one he always talks about is accompaniment. This word comes out in all his documents. He always says accompaniment. He doesn't want people to walk alone. You cannot grow in your faith alone. You need somebody to share your load, to share your good times and your bad times. And the last one, the last contribution we will remember him is for Laudato Si, care for the Mother Earth. He is the one who is really pushing the leaders around the world to give an attention to Mother Nature. And that is why, my dear friends, every pope has got his own way of doing things. They have their own teachings. And we have to listen to what is the church telling us today? The role of the magisterium, Pope and his curia, is not to rule, but to always interpret the word of God according to the need of the times today. That is the most important duty of the Pope and the curia. So as we celebrate Mass today, my dear friends, and we remember today Jesus is changing the name of Simon. From Simon becomes Peter. Our name is something very important. Whenever we choose a name for our children also, choose good names, names which has got good Christian values. Don't choose a name for style. I have told parents in baptisms normally, always choose a name which is significant. When the child is sick, when the child is having problem, at least you know who is the saint. You can go back to that saint and ask that saint to pray for that child. When you give a name which has got no significance, it has got some meaning, but there is no saint in it, then you are stuck. There is no one you can turn to. The name is important. The Pope Francis, even Amoris Laetitia, you will tell, the parents has got an important ownership. The moment you give a name to your child, you become the owner of the child. And even God, when He calls that child, He will call by the name given by the parents. That is how important name is. And the Pope reminds us of this in Amoris Laetitia. So as we celebrate this Mass today, my dear friends, it is always a time to ask ourselves every day, how is my relationship with Jesus going on? Are we really growing closer to Him? Are we getting lukewarm? Are we getting indifferent? Because ultimately, whether we live as witnesses for Christ, we live as traitors of Christ, depends on our conviction on this identity of Christ. So let us pray for ourselves. Let us also pray for those who are struggling in the faith, that you will find Christ in your life. Learn to see Jesus in our daily lives. Talk to Jesus. See the face of Jesus. Tell the story of Jesus. Whatever Jesus does to you, share it with others. Tell it aloud. Do not be afraid. Do not be shy to share about Christ and the wonders He does. And that is when people will know who is Jesus for us.